Welcome, everyone, to Jumbled Dreams' new podcast, Let's Talk Dreams. Have you ever wanted to make a difference, but you did not know where to begin? Have you ever wanted to volunteer, but you are nervous? Well, this is the place for you. Let's Talk Dreams is all about sharing stories of those making a difference in our communities, nations, and world. This is a project started because Jumbled Dreams wants you to know that no matter who you are, you can make a change. Today, for episode 1, we are so excited to welcome Michelle from the Nashville Rescue Mission. Michelle is the communications manager at Nashville Rescue Mission that supports our friends here in Nashville. Welcome, Michelle, and thank you for talking with me today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me, Sydney. I have enjoyed getting to know you and your mom over the years, and so sweet to see you where you are now. And I have been at the rescue mission since way back when. I just finished my 13th year, and a lot of things have changed over that time. But I think the best part is that there are still stories to be told of people whose lives have been really radically changed because of the things that they've encountered at the mission. And I just consider it an honor to be able to share those stories, which is my primary job. And I also handle anything that's related to public relations. So I do interact quite a bit with the media. And it's just a great organization that's doing some great things, and I get to help tell that story. So thanks for
Yeah,
having me.
yeah, of course. So, Michelle, how did you get involved with volunteering in general and then furthermore, Nashville Rescue Mission?
Well, I think even from the earliest of ages, I've always been sort of in a family that was very service oriented. We were always helping other people, and it wasn't always necessarily in a structured setting. It might just be helping your neighbor next door, or, helping a friend, across town. And that's just always been really near and dear to my heart. And later on in my career, I had the opportunity to work for Lifeway, and it was at that time that I got my first opportunity to go overseas on an international mission trip. And over several years period of time, I was able to go to Kenya. I've been to Uganda. I've been to the Dominican Republic, and just gotten to help serve people in very difficult settings. And, it's really spoke to my heart. It really fed me. And then one day I sort of just stopped and realized, you know what? There's this whole mission field in my own backyard. I don't have to go across the world to do it. And, that's true for all of us. If you really want to help people, there's all kinds of ways that you can do that. And in the beginning, I would just look for ways to serve, but I had a mentor who, his name is Norman Humber. He used to be the chief of staff at Nashville Rescue Mission. He had been a mentor to me from many, many years ago, and he had joined the staff there. And when this position that I'm currently in became open, he kind of sought me out and recruited me. And that was 13 years ago, this past May. And, positions changed a little bit over time, adding different things here and there. But, once I had that opportunity, it's sort of like it gets in your blood, and you just, it's hard to do anything else.
I completely understand. Like, it's my whole life. When I
Yep.
started when I was 4, and then it keeps going. Like, it's in
Yeah,
your blood. It fuels your fire. Like, your soul needs it.
that is exactly true.
Yeah. So, what does Nashville Rescue Mission do, and how have they made a difference in the Nashville community?
Well, I think if you were to ask just a lot of people, like the general public, most people know the mission for being, I hate to use the word soup kitchen, but I think that's what a lot of people think of. I think that they have a picture in their mind that it's just for homeless men to come and get a meal and then a place to stay. I don't think that most people have any idea the depth and breadth of all the things that happen at the mission, which is why we do something called the I Had No Idea tour. And it's through that tour that we have an opportunity to introduce people to all the things that the mission does. And a little bit of that, to sort of expand, we kind of segment things into two categories. There's emergency services, and then there's life recovery. And so under the emergency services, that would be, again, anybody that does need a meal, anybody that needs clothing, anybody that needs shelter, and somebody can come in for any of those things or all of those things. So we have some people that just come in at lunch for a meal. Maybe they work downtown And, a lot of times I see construction workers that come over to the mission, get lunch on their lunch break. Um, then you've got people that might be situationally homeless. Maybe it's a short-term situation where they've lost a job or they've suffered some sort of financial setback and they just need a few months to get back on their feet. So we have programs for people in those situations. And we've learned to kind of adapt some of our resources to sort of meet other needs. So, for example, in the past, you might have been a third shift worker. Well, where would you go during, when you're not working? If you were homeless, there would be nowhere to go. Well, several years ago, the mission created a dorm where we can accommodate people that come in. And so there's a little bit of structure there, but it does provide people from every situation that you could possibly imagine get their emergency needs met. And that's including toiletries and showers and all those kinds of things. But then the other part of what we do, which is, I think it's phenomenal, and it's probably one of the best kept secrets in Nashville, is that we have a life recovery program. So what does that exactly mean? Well, a lot of times people kind of group that under the heading of drug addiction recovery. And while that does consist of a large part of the people that come and get served for that, it doesn't just include that. It could be somebody that's really struggling emotionally, and maybe they're just struggling with their life. Maybe they've had multiple deaths in their family and they just have exhausted all their resources. They don't know where to go. But anybody in any kind of situation like that could come to the mission. We don't do like drug detox, but if somebody's struggling, we will help them. And there's classes and there's Bible studies and there's counseling and there's coaching. And, if it's a parent, there's parenting. And we do this for both men and women. In the past, I would have said we have two campuses that do both these things. But right now, we have just recently merged our women's campus onto our main campus on Lafayette because we're getting ready to build a new women's and children's campus. It's going to be an 18 to 24-month project. So while that building project is taking place, we've put everybody under one roof right now. So it's a little tight, but we are making it work and everybody is adapting and being flexible. But pretty much everything that we do for men, we do for women. And I think even having had two campuses, sometimes people don't connect the dots and realize that it's all Nashville Rescue Mission. But it's incredible, the programs that we offer, the things that we do. I mean, I've just seen so many lives transformed, reconciliation with families that have been, like apart from each other for years, decades, and seeing those relationships restored and situations redeemed. It's just amazing. But there's so much that happens at the mission that's more than just a meal.
Absolutely. I've been there, I've toured there, I volunteered with you guys. I love the mission.
Right.
And you guys truly do more than most people realize. Because when I went through there, I didn't realize you all did all that. And then I was like, whoa, this is awesome. Um, but have you had any challenges?
Let me also add, it's
Yeah.
also free. Like all of
Yes.
those things are free. That is an important thing to mention, because anybody, lots of people that need help, if they, especially in the addiction world, going to treatment centers can be super expensive, and insurance, even if you have insurance, it can be expensive, but people can come to the mission for free. It's amazing.
It is, and it's all because of people who want to help and who want to donate. So there
That's
are a lot
right.
of good people in the world too. So
Yes, especially in Nashville.
yes, Nashville community is the best. Have you ever had any challenges while volunteering or working with the rescue mission, and kind of how did you overcome those?
Well, I think challenges are just a part of life, whether it's when you're volunteering and when it's in your work or your job or with your friends or your family. I mean, challenges are just a part of life. I think we have to learn how to face those kinds of situations and not turn and shy away from them. I think we've kind of labeled challenges as a bad thing. And the truth is that's where we grow. I think that's where we really learn and grow and develop our who we are. And, when you're dealing with a population of people that are struggling so desperately, you're constantly reminded that, no matter what may be going on in your life, you've got somebody right there in front of you who would probably love to have your problems, because they're faced with things that many of us will never ever have to endure or deal with. And so that does, play a role in how I see things. It changes your perspective. And I'd say one of my strongest gifts is empathy. So I really try to put myself in their shoes and relate to them. Um, how I cope with a lot of this is really my faith. And I think that's one of the things I love so much about the mission is that we are Christ centered. And my faith is very important to me. And whenever I'm struggling and with anything, my first step is to turn to the Lord and to seek wisdom and discernment from Him, so that I can make good decisions that will honor Him and glorify Him. And, when you take that into consideration with the mission, I mean, that's what we're trying to do. We want to bring glory and honor to the Lord in how we serve people. So we refer to it as radical hospitality. We are there to serve. And so regardless of somebody's situation or circumstances, that's what we're trying to do.
And it's hard too. Like, this is a very, especially with the homeless community and everything, it's a very hard community because I always leave anytime I'm helping on the streets in missions or anything, I always leave crying because it's just so emotional because they're real people just like us and they're just going through really hard times and they just want someone to listen to their story. And people don't realize that they just want to share their story and they want someone to know that there's someone there for them, even if it's only temporary or if it's only, for meals or for something that just someone's there and someone's listening and someone can see them, that they're not invisible.
I think you really hit the nail on the head because I think so often we try to turn away from the things that make us uncomfortable. And seeing somebody who is homeless often makes us uncomfortable. And, with that, I will say, I do make a distinction, though. I do make a distinction between people who are panhandling and
Mm-hmm.
people who are homeless. And, I see a lot in my circles, social circles online. People get very heated in these conversations about the homeless. And, it's often what I find is that they get upset because they see that person that's standing on the corner or at the end of the interstate ramp and they're there day in and day out with their hand out. That is a panhandler. And I'm not saying that that person may or may not be homeless. They might be, but it's very different than the people that we serve. The people that we serve are
Yes.
not standing on the corner. They're not. They are at the mission trying to get help. They're trying to sign up for services. I mean, I saw something today even that just, I it's really hard for me because I want to jump into those conversations and try to help people understand and see the big picture, but it's really hard. But somebody was posting about, the homeless and there's all these jobs and they just need to go get a job. Well, I probably was one of those people that said that a long, long time ago. But what I would love for people to know is that imagine if you don't have a place to live. When you go apply for a job, they want to know, where do you live? What's your
Yes.
address?
They ask for an address, and if you don't have an
That's,
address, you can't get a
that's
job.
right. And then, that's one thing. They want your driver's license or your social security card. And a lot of times people in situations of homelessness or even like domestic abuse where they've escaped and they've come to the shelter to get help, they don't have those things. Getting those things takes time and money. Guess what? At the mission, we will help you get those things, but it takes time. So the person that's on that street corner, I think their objective is a little bit different than the people that are at the mission asking for help. Now, I will point out if someone is wearing the yellow placard and that is a person who is selling the contributor, that is truly legitimate. Those people are screened and qualified, and they do make a living selling the contributor. And they may be homeless. They may have previously been homeless. I've made friends with some of the contributor vendors that I've encountered, and you learn that they were homeless in the beginning, but through the contributor, they were able to save money and get into an apartment or, get into a boarding house. I mean, they're not living in the lap of luxury, but
Yeah.
they're making ends meet, and the schedule with the contributor is something that works for them. So I will honor and commend the folks that do choose to do the contributor. The ones that I, really feel like I should steer clear of are the ones that are just standing there day in and day out. And it's not because I'm cold and callous, it's because they know that they can go get help elsewhere, and instead they choose to stand on that corner. And I'm not going to get into arguments about with people about helping or not helping. I think each person has to decide what feels right to them. And so I'm not going to, if somebody gives that person money, so be it. That's their choice. I'm not going to shame them for it. But I would, if someone asked me, I would say your investment of money would be better spent at an organization like Nashville Rescue Mission. And there, if you don't
Yes.
like the mission, there are other organizations that serve the homeless. There are, Nashville has a wealth of resources for somebody that's struggling. Nashville Rescue Mission just happens to be the biggest. We have more beds, we have more capacity, but there are other organizations that are doing great work with the homeless. And believe it or not, we're not competing against each other. We're
Working together.
collaborating together to find solutions. So, Room in the Inn is behind us, and we're great friends with them. We interact with people from Open Table, which
Mhm.
Open Table actually goes into the homeless camps where they have developed relationships and can help people. Um, but I really, really wish that people didn't automatically label that panhandler on the corner as someone who represents the homeless community, because that is so far from the truth.
Mhm. I absolutely agree. And if anyone listening, anytime they ask us what to do to give money or to give something to the homeless community, we always say don't give out money because you don't know where your money's going to go. We always say you can give them food gift cards because it forces them to go get a meal. You can
Yes.
give them snack bags that you can keep in your car. You can give them toiletry bags you can keep in your car. There's many
Bottle
other
of
ways. Yeah, bottle of water. There's many other ways you can handle that situation to where you're still helping them, but
right,
making sure that your money is going to a safe place as well. So
right.
that's how we kind of always approach it, and it's worked really well for us. And that's how we kind of roll. So I wanted to ask you, what would you tell someone who specifically wants to volunteer with the homeless?
So what would they need to do?
What would they
Well,
need to do? What would you advise for them, etc.?
so I think a lot of that's going to depend on the age of the person and also their comfort level. There are people, I'm even before I worked at the mission, I would occasionally go out with clothes and shoes. And I remember we carried shoelaces. That's something somebody doesn't really think about. But, if you're walking constantly, those shoelaces get worn out. And we would hand out shoelaces, which seemed like such a weird thing, but it's such a help. Um, you know, if you're comfortable doing that, there's always that opportunity. But if somebody's just starting out and they want to kind of know if this is the right thing for them, then I do think a place like the Mission is a good place to start. We do allow people that are ages 10 and up. They can come. So that's, if you look around Nashville, we're one of the few places that allow people that young to start. Now they do have to be with a parent or guardian. And most of the time, those folks would be volunteering in our kitchen, which is a very controlled environment. They would be standing behind the counter, handing out food trays, or they might be in the dining room picking up empty trays or refilling drink glasses with water or tea or whatnot. We especially see that during the holidays. It seems like that's a great time for families that want to come and introduce their children to serving. Um, but there are also lots of other things that people can do that don't require you to stand on the front line. Because guess what? There are some people in this world who are introverts. They're not like us. So they still want to serve, but they don't want the attention. And at the Mission, there are all kinds of ways to do that. We have a lot of different people that come that are tutors. We That's one of the other programs that we have. If somebody comes to the Mission and they do not have a high school diploma, then we will help them obtain their HSE, which stands for high school equivalency. It's the replacement for the GED program here in Tennessee. And we have had so many amazing volunteers that come from the world of education, from engineering, and all kinds of really technical backgrounds that will volunteer. And they may come 3 times a week, they may come 2 times a week, and they'll work with the men or the women, and they will help them with math or English. Those tend to be the two big areas that get tested for the HSE. And that's one-on-one dealing with people in life recovery program. Now, there are other areas. We have a warehouse. You can imagine the bulk of donations that come in on a regular basis. We don't turn around and sell those. In fact, in some cases, if we have too much, we might donate it to other organizations that don't get near the amount of things that we get. But with the inflow of so much stuff, we are constantly having to sort and organize. We can't just like put it anywhere. So we have this entire warehouse section in the basement of our building where everything is organized. Clothes are organized by size, by male or female, linens, towels, sheets. I mean, anything that you can imagine. And so when we get those donated, we need people to help us sort through those things. So that's obviously, I mean, I see a lot of team building. So maybe an organization or a business that might want to do a work event and have team building, they love to come, and they're in the basement, and they may have interactions with 1 or 2 people that work at the mission that are in the recovery program. And then they, work on these projects together.
Yeah.
But the easiest way to do that is to go to Nashville Rescue Mission and click on the volunteer button, and they can sign up, and there's a little bit of a process. Now, right now, with our campuses combined, everyone is subject to a background check, but the mission takes care of that. So they just need to sign up, and then once they're approved, then they can sign up for different shifts or different areas and come and volunteer. But if that's not something that somebody wants to do, and say they do want to volunteer in some other way, maybe not with the homeless, there's a great organization called Hands on Nashville that sort of pulls together all the volunteering opportunities across our city, and they can introduce people to all kinds of opportunities for serving, not just in the homeless community, but other ways. But
I am a big fan of Hands on Nashville because I just won the Strobel Award for them. So I'm a huge fan of them. And plus, we went in when the March tornadoes happened back in 2020. We worked with them and partnered with their community foundation as well to get every donation people had donated to us. We got it all to them so they could get it out to the community faster. So we really appreciate Hands on Nashville. And you kind of answered my next question. Like, what would you tell someone who wants to make a difference but doesn't know where to start?
Well, I will be honest. I introduced my son. He's never, I mean, his entire life, he's 12, his entire life, he's known mom works at Nashville Rescue Mission and she helps the homeless. Up until he was old enough to come and volunteer, he really didn't understand what that meant. But my church that I used to go to, we were active with Room in the Inn during the winter, and we would, have folks that would come in and stay with us. And so one of the projects that I had him do was to prepare meals. So like we would take on the lunch meal and we would prepare sandwiches. And so we gathered a group of friends, and I took that time to tell them. It was like three moms with their kids and me, and I took that time to tell them about homelessness and why we were making the sandwiches and who it was for and what was going to happen. And it's interesting now. I look back and I see several of those kids that I interacted with are still helping in different ways. Not that long ago, one of the kids I saw, they had gathered a bunch of water and took it down to the mission because, especially in the summer, we always need bottled water. So there's so many different ways. I mean, I would start by just looking around in your neighborhood, even, I live in a great community, and there's an app that we use called Nextdoor. It's kind of, sort of like a social
We
site.
use it too.
And you get to know your neighbors. And
Yeah.
I'm new to this neighborhood. I've only been here 6 months, but it's in the same community that I am from. But I didn't know any of my neighbors. And even through using Nextdoor, like I had a neighbor who I got stuck in my house with this ice and snow back in February, and being new and a new homeowner, I didn't have a shovel. So I
Yeah.
couldn't, it had, there had been sleet, like hours and hours of sleet, and then the snow came after.
Oh
And
gosh,
so,
it was awful.
and I couldn't even get out my front door.
Yeah.
So I messaged on next door, and one of my neighbors came and shoveled my snow, my ice away. And now I've become friends with them. And so, you really don't have to go to an organization. I mean, if you feel called to do that, by all means, but look around your neighborhood. Is there a single mom? Hey, I'm a single mom. Is there a single mom that might need some help mowing the grass or something? Or taking out their trash, or my now that my son's bigger, he can help with the light bulbs, but sometimes I have vertigo. And let me tell you, trying to climb up on a ladder and change light bulbs, I would love to have a kid, and a tall kid in the neighborhood that would have been able to do that.
Yeah.
uh, Kinds of ways that people can make a difference, and it doesn't always have to be something really big and elaborate. It can just be something small, like leaving somebody a note on their door and just saying, hi, welcome to the neighborhood. I had that. And there's nothing like it. I think we all long to have a sense of community, and honestly, that's true for people that are homeless. They just want you to acknowledge them. Don't turn away. Don't act like they have a disease. They have a situation where they don't live in a house, but they're still a person just like you and me. They still deserve to be treated with respect, and they're still worthy. And just because they don't have a house doesn't make them any less worthy. Um,
Absolutely.
so that's kind of my feeling about things, and I teach my son all the time about being kind. And that's why I so love all these things that you've been doing, Sydney. I've watched you grow up and seen all the things that you've had to go through, and just seen how you've turned negatives into positives, and just continued to show love and kindness. And what a great example that is for not just kids, but for adults, that we just really need more kindness in the world.
Well, thank you. And you hit like Jumble Dream's mission like right at the core. Because one thing I always say in any interview, any podcast I do, I'm like, you do not have to write $1 million check to make a difference. If you can, 100%, like go for it. Like, thank you.
It will be
But
used.
it will be used to a great cause.
Right.
But for the everyday person, there is so many other ways. You can open the door for someone. I love when people open the door for me. I
Me
always
too.
think it's so sweet. And that's why Jumble Dreams created the kindness calendar. We started it a month ago. And so people have every day can have something. They can go to our website and they can see our kindness calendar, and they can see ways they can make a difference in easy
Oh,
ways.
I'm gonna go get one. I'm gonna go get
Yes.
it.
Because we have it. And then all of our events are on there as well. So if you want to get more involved with Jumble Dreams, you can. Like, there's so many different ways. And I think one of them is like, go write a note to someone you're thankful for and send it to them. Text someone who you've thought about lately but haven't made the time to reach out. Donate old books that are just sitting on your bookshelf. Like, tons of different things that we've put together for people to make a difference. And so when you said all of that about the simple things, I was like, oh my gosh, that's like what we do. That's what we want people to know. Like, it doesn't have to be a big difference, because that one opening the door could literally change someone's life. You never know what people are going through on the inside.
That's right. I always love the story, and I'm sure you've heard it. And I'm amazed that there aren't more people who know this little story about the starfish.
I don't
You
know if
know
I've
the
heard the
star Oh my
starfish.
gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, so go look it up, but it's just a little story, and it's about this boy that walks down the beach, and he sees the starfish, he picks it up and throws it back into the ocean. And way far off, there's a man sitting there, and he's watching this kid do this. And the kid walks a little bit, takes the starfish, throws it back, and keeps going until he encounters the man. And the man says, what are you doing? And the little boy says, I'm, tossing the starfish back out into the ocean so they don't die. And he said, well, gosh, there's so many. How are you going to do that? What difference does it make? And the little boy says, it makes the difference to that one.
Mhm.
And there's a much better version of it out there, I'm sure. But if you search for it, it's a great story, because the point being, if you look at a situation and you say, gosh, this is just too big of a problem, I can't do anything about it, so I'm not even going to try. Homelessness is a big, huge problem, but some people
It
look at
is.
it and go, what's the point? Well, it makes a difference to each and every single person.
It does.
You may not be able to help everybody, but you can help somebody.
Mhm.
And that's what matters.
It is. People realize you got to do it one person at a time. You can't do it millions or billions at a time. It's one person at a time.
Yeah.
So, how can someone get involved with the rescue mission even if they don't live in the Nashville area?
Well, I first would encourage anybody that's interested to learn more about us, and they can go to the website, which is nashvillerescuemission.org. We are also on all the social platforms. So, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, those are some great places to learn more about what we're doing. And we love it when people help share the message. You never know who they might know that's in Nashville that can spread the word. And anytime organizations help each other, to me, it's just a big blessing because it helps everybody. So, even if somebody can't help physically, they can help by supporting us socially. They can also make a donation, which they can do at our website. They can also do that through Facebook. We're also on all of the charity websites that sort of provide the validation behind what we do, and so people can look us up on Giving Matters or Charity Navigator, and I believe those even have ways that you can donate. So, we even offer Amazon wish lists for things that we need for the kids. Like right now, we're gearing up for school, so we're packing backpacks and making sure kids have clothes and school supplies, because we do have a number of children staying with us. It could be anywhere from 20 to 75 kids. And a lot of people don't even realize that, but we do make sure that they get enrolled in school and that they have all the things that they need to succeed. Um, they're kind of the invisible homeless, because they don't, they didn't ask for that situation. They're just sort of in it and not by choice. And we know that's difficult. Um, Bullying is bad enough, as you well know, that add into the mix a kid that's growing up in a homeless shelter, and it's a struggle. So we want to try to do everything we can to make their lives as normal as possible. So we do work with Metro schools. They do have a hero program that Catherine Knowles is the person behind that, and they do great things with the kids that are experiencing homelessness in Nashville. So there's so many ways that people can help and get involved. And, I just encourage people to, look, bloom where you're planted. Even if you're not in Nashville and you're in some other city, look around. There's probably a rescue mission or, um, some type of organization that's helping people, and get involved. Donate things. You can, doesn't just have to be money. It could be material goods. And we rely a lot on those kinds of things. We get a
Mhm.
lot of food donated. It
Me
all
too.
helps.
We do too. We actually rely more on actual donations than we do monetary donations. So
Wow.
I know smaller nonprofits, especially like us, we do that. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world, like somebody is there helping. You just got to find them. And
Yeah,
these days with the internet and social media, it's not hard. Like you can literally just look up your city and you can find them. So
that's
I highly
true.
suggest anyone who wants to get involved or contact Jumbled Dreams, and we will get you in contact with one of our partners across the world. Like we have over 30 partners now, and we're always looking for more. So it's always
Wonderful.
exciting. Yeah.
You're
So
doing
thank
great.
you. Oh, thank you. Well, thank you, Michelle, for coming on today and sharing your dreams and passions for making a difference. You're such an inspiration to many, and I'm so glad that you're a part of the Jumbled Dreams family. For anyone who wants to be on our podcast, please visit our social media or website to find the link to sign up. And make sure to follow our social media and Nashville Rescue Mission's social media for further updates and information. So thank you, Miss Michelle, for coming on.
Thank you so much, Sydney. I'm so proud of you, and it's an honor to be on your show.
Thank you.